Hello, this is Ryan Voorhees with the Ivy Tech Construction Technology Department, and we're here today with our tapered drywall joint mock-up here on the wall behind me, and I'm going to take some time to show you an alternative step number one for applying the tape and the mud to this joint. And the tool we're going to use to do this is right here in front of me. This is called a Drywall Banjo, also known as a tape shooter. And the benefit of this tool is it allows us to apply the tape and the mud all in one step, thus increasing our efficiency and also making for a cleaner final product. So there's a few portions of this tool that I'd like to highlight before we get going. The first is the tape reel, and I can open this compartment here by folding back the door, and my tape roll is designed to fit right over top of this spool. And the critical thing is that this tape is in a clockwise orientation as it comes off the roll. Now there is a groove in the bottom of the tool that this tape slides through, and I'm going to go ahead and try and get it fit through here a few inches, just like so. That's all I need to do with the tape, and I can close this compartment and relatch it. The next item is the mud compartment, and again I can open this clasp and hinge open the compartments. And here's the tape that I'd pre-fed through. I'm going to go ahead and pull that tape through a few more inches, and I'm going to drop it through this slot here in the front of the tool. And I want to take a moment to show you what's happening here at the tip of the tool, because this is critical for the amount of mud that we apply to the tape. This piece of steel is adjustable, and I have a set screw on top, and as I tighten that screw, it pinches the tape, thus putting less mud on the tape. But if I have a situation where I need more mud on my tape, I can back off on that screw, and it allows more room for mud to flow on the bottom of this tape. So I'm going to get this dialed in somewhere around 3/32 of an inch, which is about what we have here. And lastly, the tip is serrated, and that's for tearing the tape off when you get to the end of your joint that you're mudding. So at this point, I am ready to go ahead and load up my banjo. And to do this, I'm going to take the tape and push it all the way to the top, just like so. So I've got a spot to put the mud. And I've got some pre-mixed compound here in the bucket next to me, and I'm just going to take a little bit of compound and load this up. Now if I was doing a whole project, I'm going to try and load this as full as I can, because you'll be surprised at how fast the banjo will apply mud. You'll be reloading every 5 minutes, even with a full load. But for this demonstration, I'm not going to fill it up as full as I can, just enough to show you how it works. So here I've got the banjo loaded up. My tape is above the mud. This is critical. And as I apply the mud, I'll kind of show you the science behind this, but as I apply tape, the tape is going to pull against this compound below it, and you can picture this mud all kind of moves to the front, and then the whole bottom of the tape will come out coated with mud when I'm done. So here I'm ready. Everything's where it needs to be. I'm going to close the door and latch this compartment, and I'm ready to apply mud. Now before I start, I like to take my banjo, and again, your hand fits on the back side just like so, with the spot for your thumb. But I like to take this banjo and give it a few swings downward, and all that's doing is advancing the mud toward the tip of this tool. Now if I lay it back down, I can show you what's going to happen as I pull on the tape. Nothing yet, but here I have a nice clean coating of mud on the bottom of the tape. Now when I see full coverage of the mud, I can take and tear off that tape, and I'm ready to start applying compound. And what you see here, which is probably a heavy 1/16 of an inch, is about right for the amount of mud on the bottom of the tape. Now I'm going to identify my wall, my joint to tape, and I'm going to start. I'm right-handed, so I work left to right. I'm going to apply the tape horizontally across this joint. So again, taking the banjo in hand, my hand through the handle on the back with my thumb in place. And it's literally, it seems upside down, the compartment's on the bottom, but I'm going to take one hand, pull out a little bit of tape, and I'm going to center that over the joint. Now I need to hold that firmly, because as I pull, it takes a lot of force to advance the tape out of the banjo. Now I'm just going to hold it roughly centered and pull till I get to the end of the joint, and then tear that off. So if you can see here, I used one hand to tear up against the serrated edge. Now we can do very long joints. In this case, I just have a couple feet, but I'm going to make sure I'm centered on that joint before I go any further. And at this point, the steps are similar to what you'll see, or what you saw rather, in the first video. We take our 6-inch knife and a mud pan, and we're going to work from the center toward the edges and pull out that excess mud. So starting right here in the center, I'm going to hold this end with my mud pan so I don't pull the whole tape off the wall. And I'm just going to drag my knife across this tape with the ultimate goal of pulling all that excess mud out from behind the tape. Now I'm going to come and do the same thing on the other half. Now at this point I could call this good, but I typically like to take 2 passes to make sure I've put enough pressure to firmly remove all of the mud. So working from the center again, just a small amount of mud, and I can move to the other side. And at this point I'm done. And as you can see, after watching the first video that shows manually applying tape, this method was not only faster, but we have our mud contained to a much narrower area here, so it's a lot cleaner, a lot less mud, and a lot less time.